Gobble, gobble, everybody. It's Thanksgiving, and the Utah Mammoth are in playoff position. That bodes well for their chances at the end of the regular season. They did drop a game tonight. I'm recording this on Thanksgiving Eve to the Montreal Canadiens, but I am very encouraged by their play against the Vegas Golden Knights earlier this week. So all this coming up and more on SLC Puck. So cue the music. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer, and it's great to be podcasting tonight on Thanksgiving Eve. I know that's like a very popular drinking holiday, and I'm choosing to abstain. I'm having Coca-Cola instead and remaining sober so I can give you some sobering news. The Utah Mammoth dropped their game against the Montreal Canadiens tonight on November 23rd, 2023. We're recording this about 11:30. Actually, even later, it's not 11:30 yet. Sorry, I'm like time blind right now. I'm always a little delirious when I do these shows after a game, and I'm even more delirious when I do them after they lose because I'm a little bummed out. This one was a tough one for the Utah Mammoth. And I think it just speaks to the reality of life in the fast lane, of life in the NHL, where every game is a battle. You're high one night, you're riding a big high, you just beat the Vegas Golden Knights, you had a 4-goal performance from Logan Cooley, and then you're back to reality. You're back for another one. You're playing the Montreal Canadiens, and you lose a heartbreaker 4-3. A game that looked like you had it in hand for a minute. That was the story for the Utah Mammoth. We'll go over the game in just a second. I want to start the show by giving some love to you guys. Thank you, guys. It's Thanksgiving. I'm dressed as a frickin' turkey here, everybody. I hope you guys have a tremendous turkey day with friends and family. Watch some football, have some stuffing, some cornbread, some yams. Speaking of yams, Kyler Yamamoto had a great goal tonight. We're going to do something unusual in the Facer household, something that's making my mother extremely nervous. We're going to add a new element to the equation here. We're going to eat Jamaican oxtail as part of our Thanksgiving festivities. My little girly pop right now is slaving away, making us one of the finest delicacies to come out of the Caribbean, oxtail. And sorry, I know we're doing a hockey podcast now, and I know there's been some feedback that there's not much hockey talk on the show, but I just have to tell you guys this funny story because I know you guys find my life amusing. My mother has been so nervous about this. She was literally picturing that we were gonna have like a elongated, like the tail of an ox that just simply has been sliced off and rotisseried, and that we would be passing the tail around, eating it Viking style, just each taking, chunks out of it with our teeth. That's not what oxtail is. I've had it. It's very good. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun Thanksgiving tomorrow in the household, despite the fact that the Utah Mammoth did lose tonight, a game we attended in person. Big thanks to everybody who came and said hi today. As always, I really, really appreciate that. I did make an appearance at the game as well. I was seen by the entire crowd. I was on the Jumbotron, and there certainly appears to be some sort of correlation between the time that I showed up on the Jumbotron, the time the team was playing its best, and then the time that the team, sort of lost it down the stretch. So I don't want to say that like the team plays better when they know that I'm there by seeing me on the Jumbotron, but it's kind of the conclusion you have to draw on this one. But anyway, we'll get back into this. There's right now I'm a little perturbed. I'm a little sad. I would have been much happier, going into Thanksgiving if the Utah Mammoth had pulled off a victory tonight against Montreal. Looked really good at parts. What the heck? They had a terrific second period. That's a first, right? And we saw, I'll talk more about the Montreal game in a second, but first of all, the Vegas game. How great was that? I mean, we're going to start with the positives here. Okay. The Vegas game was just what the doctor ordered. It was, for me, like one of the most, there's been a couple highs this season. I think the 7-game winning streak has been a high, the mastery of spooky season, the win over Colorado, that was a part of the winning streak as well on October 21st was huge. But we've had such a somber November, no fun November. It's been difficult to find the points of joy, the things that really, bring a sparkle into our lives. I think this might have been the Utah Mammoth's best win in a month. That's not crazy to say. 5-1 win over the Vegas Golden Knights just a few days after the Golden Knights thumped the Mammoth in the Delta Center on the 20th on Thursday. And yes, I understand that they did beat the New York Rangers in between those, but for me, that was like the palate cleanser. The main course, the main event of this stretch, this last week was the rematch against the Vegas Golden Knights. And I billed it as Rocky 2. That's what it felt like. We got another shot at the title. We're playing Apollo Creed, or we're fighting Apollo Creed again. We got pushed around in our own house. We're going to stand up now. We're going to show some character. We're going to show who we are. That's exactly what the Utah Mammoth did. For me, like a real confidence booster in this team, and I'm sure the fellas in the locker room felt that way as well. Logan Cooley had been slumping a little bit, as was the case with all of his teammates, but he finds the score sheet 5 times, I guess, 4 goals, 1 assist, gets the first ever 4-goal game in Utah Mammoth / Utah Hockey Club history. But again, I think character win is the best way to put this. Like, they came out of the gate swinging. The other thing you have to say that I think kind of got lost in all the excitement, and I'm going to put my turkey gobbler down now so I can read what's going on. The thing that kind of got lost in the whole Logan Cooley appreciation, which was well deserved, was that Karel Vejmelka had a fantastic game.
Hurt in a car wreck, dog bite, slip and fall. Just call Quick Swap. One call, that's all.
After a car wreck, dealing with big insurance companies on your own can hurt your case. One call, that's all means we take care of everything. From dealing with insurance companies to helping you find doctors and repair shops, we're here to guide you from start to finish. Call Craig Swap and Associates today at 801-444-4444.
One call, that's all.
Against the Vegas Golden Knights. Here, I'll just show you here. We got the Money Puck game summary pulled up. And yes, you can see, ooh, man, this was a tough one. It was basically a coin flip in terms of effort, right? So what does that tell you? Where did Utah get the edge? Well, if you scroll down a little bit further, it becomes plain to see. You go to the Mammoth goalie stats right here. You see Karel Vejmelka has an expected goals against of over 3 goals. He let in just 1. So he kept 2 goals that should have been in out of the net. That was huge for the Mammoth. Of course, they scored 2 goals with an empty net to seal the deal. But, if Utah goes into that stretch, giving up those 2 goals, it's a 3-3 game before Logan Cooley's, 2 empty netters. Could be a completely different story, right? So what I'm saying is Karel Vejmelka, he should be given a lot of stick taps for his performance as well. Might have been one of the best games he's had all season, but it was great to see Cooley involved. Barrett Hayton was producing as well, and his hard work was finally rewarded with a goal in tonight's game. It felt like it was his first goal all month. In fact, I think it was his first goal this month. But back to the Montreal game, it was tough. There was a lot of quirky things in this one. We saw an empty netter from Montreal hit the post. We saw Utah have many, many opportunities at the end of the game to get their first ever 6-on-5 goal in franchise history. I got to tell you, of all the teams that are kind of in a similar ilk to Utah, Montreal is the one that I like seeing Utah play the most, because I think there's a few reasons, right? Montreal in a lot of ways, I think we can look at I think fans of both teams can look at the other team and appreciate what they have going on. I'm sure Montreal fans see Utah's fans and me helping them cross the street, which I'm happy to do. I'm sure you may have seen that on my social media. And they probably go, man, we would kill to have Utah's skill, their speed, and all the upside that they have as well. But guess what? They also have a lot of those same things. I think we as a fan base can look at Montreal's roster and say, hey, they're young, they're skilled, and they're a bit bigger too. They're heavier. And I think that size discrepancy is where Montreal has the edge in these games. And we saw them take advantage of that in their first game against each other on November 8th, which was a 6-2 win for Montreal. Tonight, they tighten the gap, make it a 4-3 game. But you watch the game and you're just like, yeah, Utah is just getting pushed around a little bit. They started the game putting one of their heavier groups out in front. They started with McBain at center, Paterka and Krause on the wing. So Boehner and Krause, laying the law down a little bit, so to speak. He's the sheriff, right? The other thing, sorry, before we get more into the game, it was great to see Sean Durzi back on the ice. He was zipping around. I think his game has been very sorely missed. I think he moves the puck very, very well. I think you could make the point he might be the best puck mover on the team. And it just seemed like he was excited to be out there. He was getting involved in scrums, taking shots. He was involved with the 6-on-5 in the end. He was involved in like all situations. I mean, let's just pull up the box score. I'm sure we'll see Durzi's time on ice across all the possible situations here. Yep, I'm right. Yep, he participated in some power play, not too much, just 12 seconds. 29 seconds of shorthanded. For the most part, though, logged a big amount of time on the blue line. He logged 21 and a half minutes, took 23 shifts, blocked 3 shots, had 1 takeaway, one giveaway. So it was good to see him. Interesting to note that they bumped Dmitry Shimashev out of the lineup in favor of Sean Durzi. So will that be the case for much longer? I guess that remains to be seen. But back to what I was saying about playing Montreal, right? It certainly feels like these two teams are like destined to be rivals. And you know me, like you've been listening to the podcast long enough to know that I'm like a sentimental, sappy guy. In addition to being, an overwhelmingly handsome and strong and hilarious and all the other things that I say about myself to the mirror. I really think like when I say I'm sentimental, I'm a big fan of like narratives, of stories. And I think I can just kind of imagine this situation in my head playing out. And it's just fun to live in this reality of picturing, Utah rising through the Western Conference, getting to their first Stanley Cup in the year 2030. Who do they meet on the other side of the bracket? They meet the Montreal Canadiens. And I think there could be some storylines there. These two teams have had, some battles. It's the newest team in hockey against the oldest team in hockey. It's Martin St. Louis, the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens, against the guy who I believe will be the head coach who I'm guessing, totally guessing, the head coach of the Utah Mammoth at that point, John Cooper. There's some Tampa Bay Lightning connections there. We're dividing the city of Tampa there against each other in the Stanley Cup. I don't believe those guys were totally different eras. I think I'll have to check that. I'm not totally up to date on my Tampa Bay Lightning history. Sorry for those of you guys who tuned in for that. But I really like playing teams in this tier, and I'm including Montreal. I'm including Anaheim. I'm including San Jose. I think you could also make a case that Seattle's in this bracket. We haven't seen them yet this year, but it's kind of these young teams that are on a similar trajectory, moving up around the same time. And I think you just kind of see some budding rivalries come to be. And the other thing that I really like about Montreal is I think they do a good job of exposing what Utah's weaknesses are and sort of laying out a blueprint for how Utah can get better as a team. As I was saying, I think it's evident, especially in the first period of tonight's game, that Montreal is heavier. They can push Utah around on the boards. That's not a team that Utah wants to get in any battles in the corners with right now. They're not going to win a majority of them. They solved that problem, and all they got to do is look at themselves and say, hey, how do we beat the Montreal Canadiens? And they solved that question. They have the answer to a lot of other questions that they might have as they continue to build their trajectory. I think it's a really good measuring stick for them. I think it exposes Utah in the right ways, in ways that become productive lessons. And I think that's ultimately good for them. So I don't know, if you're Bill Armstrong, you solve that equation. You're like, okay, here's where we are now. What do we need to be a team that can consistently win tough games against the Montreal Canadiens in particular? Do you get out NHL 26 or 25, whatever we're on now, and just get in the GM mode and figure out a way to beat the Canadiens? Just run simulations after simulations. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something to that. But again, like I'm saying, is like, this is a team that they can really measure themselves up against when it comes to like being on the correct trajectory. But now the Mammoth have a very difficult road stretch ahead. They're next on the ice on Friday in the Big D to take on the Dallas Stars, a team that's in a tier above them in the Western Conference. Then they play a back-to-back against St. Louis. And then they head over to the Sunshine. I keep wanting to call California the Sunshine State. They're the Golden State. There's a lot of sunshine there, though. You know, I think that's kind of what it is. Utah's the Beehive State. Idaho's the Gem State. I think that's all you need to know. So there you go. They play Anaheim on Wednesday, Vancouver again on Friday the 5th, and then the second game of the back-to-back against Calgary on Sunday. Then they're back December 8th. That's Sammy's birthday against the Los Angeles Kings. So maybe for Sammy's birthday, I got a feeling we'll be watching a little hockey. How about that? That'll be a lot of fun. So again, this road trip's going to be very difficult. Dallas is a very, very, very bad matchup for Utah. You worry about keeping that one close, and then seeing St. Louis the next night might be tricky. So if I were to guess, I would probably say they'll probably start Vitek Vanacek against Dallas, try to pick up the win against St. Louis, seek some revenge against San Jose, seek revenge again against Anaheim. And so they have chances to get some more character wins, right? They're going back to those same buildings where they had, difficult defeats. And hey, it's Rocky 2 Part 2 and Rocky 2 Part 3. There you go. Again, the movies just write themselves, folks. And we'll see how they do. And then Vancouver, Calgary. So that's a 6-game road trip, 12 points available. Again, I think if they sneak out of there with, I would say the goal should be to get 7 points. I think that's totally on the table. Winning at least 2 or 3 and then stealing a point somewhere would be a huge win. 6, I think, is your minimum, what you're looking at on this road trip. What's up, guys? I've got a really exciting announcement. I'm going to interrupt the show for just a minute to let you know that we are back in biz. We are giving away a $250 gift card for every episode of SLC Puck, thanks to our good friends at Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry. These guys are awesome. They've got some of the best stuff in the world. Some of the most incredible antique jewelry, engagement rings, stuff to get you out of trouble too, stuff to just show someone that you care and you love them. You can find it all at Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers or Jonathan's Jewelry. They're upgrading their spots. They're upgrading their inventory all the time. So much great stuff. They hit up estate sales. They find all the incredible jewelry that person that you love is really going to enjoy. So make sure you get over there, enter this giveaway. It's the easiest giveaway you'll ever enter. Just scan this QR code right over here. You'll be prompted to send a text message. Hit send on that sucker, and you're entered, and we'll let you know if you're a winner of a $250 gift card. And even if you don't win, you can still benefit from this incredible partnership. Just head into either one of those locations. Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers is at Trolley Square. Jonathan's Jewelry, that's up in Cottonwood Heights, and just mention SLC Puck, and they'll knock $100 off your purchase just like that. So big thanks to Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry for their support of SLC Puck and Utah hockey fans like you. Let's get back to the show. And by the way, let's check in on our standings, because if you're listening to this on Thanksgiving, this is it. This is a day that we've earmarked as a very important day in the NHL schedule. I've been repeating Trent Hess's stat ad nauseum for months now. I've butchered it about half the time. I've said it correctly the other half, so I'm proud about that. Last year, when I was trying to relay this Trent Hess stat, I was butchering it about 80% of the time. So we're making steps. Next year, maybe I'll only flub it like 25% of the time, and then the year after that, I'll just be Trent Hess, and you won't need clean hits. We'll just merge into one ultimate like organism where we're all just creating podcasts and doing all kinds of stuff together. That's what I think AGI is going to be when Trent Hess and I and the rest of the clean hits guys just converge into one sentient being. Anyway, that's my futurology report for you guys. Let's look at the standing. Like I said, 25%, and here we go. I'm going to try to say it. It's very important to be in playoff position by American Thanksgiving, because I flubbed it. There we go. 75% of the teams that are in playoff position remain that way come postseason time. There we go. Good enough. And so we'll scroll down here. As you can see, Western Conference, top 3 teams in each division are in, plus 2 wild cards. Utah right now is clinging to that last wild card spot. So good job. Hey, the first milestone has been completed for the Utah Mammoth. If the season ended today, which would be weird because Utah's played more games than some of the other teams, they would be in the postseason with 27 points. So I think that's a huge accomplishment, considering where the team was at a certain point in November where it was doom and gloom, and I think we all felt like they weren't going to win again. What did they lose? It was something like 1, 2, 3. Like it was nauseating, right? It was something like they lost 9 out of 11 from the end of October through November. And so to scratch and claw and find a way to stick in this spot right now, it is a huge achievement. I mean, they get a couple of those points back. They're comfortably in that first wild card position. And that's not impossible, right? They lost 3 games in overtime already. They hold on against Anaheim. They get that extra point. They're at 28, so they would be comfortably in that first wild card spot. They find a way to steal the win against San Jose. They have 29. They're even more comfortably in that first wild card spot. So, that's why these points are so critical. Like these overtime losses could be very damaging, especially when you're leaving points on the table, in particularly the instance of the Anaheim game. Like last year, we talked so much about that San Jose game, and ultimately it didn't matter because Utah was comfortably out of the playoffs last year. But that San Jose game, where they were up 4-1 in the third period, let the Sharks back in the game, and then blew it in overtime, that was big. That was something that could have been avoided. That should have been an extra point in their pockets. And having that extra point in their pockets down the stretch may have alleviated a little bit of pressure, I think, and maybe made some of those games a little less do or die. Certainly may have stretched out their season by at least 1 game. And you give yourself an extra chance, and anything can happen, right? It's a lot. I think we're finding out with hockey, it's such a mindset sport. It's such an emotional sport. Like you listen to the pundits talk about the Mammoth on their difficult stretch in November, and it was clear to them, and probably clear to all of us who were watching the games, that it was a team that was lacking in confidence as the tough sledding continued. So anyway, I think they're back in a good way. The Vegas win is my big happy takeaway from the last week, from the last time we spoke. That was tremendous. I've come back down to earth a little bit. I was hoping to be more elevated above the earth, to be levitating a bit more, but hey, there's Thanksgiving tomorrow. We're going to have turkey. We're going to have oxtail, We're going to have stuffing. We're going to have football on TV. And then we're back. We're watching hockey on Friday, so it's a tough one. They got the Dallas Stars. So root against the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow, and then root against the Dallas Stars on Friday. Sound like a plan? Root against. I know, and you should root against the Dallas Cowboys because it's funny. Like it's just funny when the Dallas Cowboys lose. Did I invent that concept? No, I didn't. It's just a reality, right? But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to SLC Puck. I want to just again shout out our sponsors. Craig Swap's awesome. Really appreciate their support of the show. Don't forget to check out Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers as well for all your jewelry needs. BigTuskEnergy.com for merch. And what else? Follow me on social media at SLC Puck. Sammy's on social media as well, SLC Puck Sam. We're gonna plan another watch party in December, so stay tuned. Go to the Patreon as well. I know you guys want to know what's going on with these pucks. I'll tell you later. And enjoy your Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you.